bust. I mean, the number of times I've seen businesses go bust, and there's a confusion, if you like, in the mind of the administrator or the receiver about the ownership of assets. They will treat it as property of the company, if you like. And, if you've entrusted it with the company being a financial institution of some sort, like, a bank, then tough. You got to fight trying to establish your ownership of it. And this is something which has created all sorts of problems in the past. Don't go there. It's a short answer.
I think China's done a much better job of doing what Basel III was supposed to do, which is create high-quality liquid asset, a first-tier high-quality liquid asset, because there's always the games going on over here. You've got the forwards market, you've got dilution, maybe 20% dilution. Up to that, we probably figure that isn't compliant. And when you have a fix, yeah, okay, the 3 to 5 tons out of the 800 or 700 or 800 tons that get traded every day in the FX markets, maybe the 3 to 5 tons is compliant. But that's a tiny, tiny portion of what's going on. Whereas China has now the refiners I know and deal with, I'm sure you do, producers. Why would you use the Western markets when you've got the gold and silver corridor, you've got the gold corridor, it's physically backed. You know that anything within that vaulting service and everything that came into it and is coming out of it is a physically backed gold and silver. Therefore, if I want to hedge something, forward production, whatever, why would I touch this Western toxic mix of derivatives when really all I want to know is what's my price? What is the supply demand price? How can I hedge that better? Therefore, if I park my business in a Western facing high quality liquid asset gold market, SGE facing market, no wonder open interest is evaporating. No wonder it is. It's going to places where it's safe.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that the standard of regulation in China, I think, is without fear or favor. And that's something which we can't really say in our markets. I mean, the LBMA is horribly secretive about what goes on. And when you look at Comex, I mean, it would appear that Comex is actually, sort of run by the big banks. I mean, the big banks are free to do this, free to do that, and all the rest of it. Which is often in contravention of the rules, and certainly in contravention of the spirit of the rules. It doesn't quite work like that in China. China actually has jumped down, and this is an important point. This week it has jumped down on the spoofing, short selling, all this sort of stuff, and is making life for people who don't play by the rules extremely uncomfortable. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them end up in jail, quite frankly. But anyway, that is something we've yet to see. But I mean, the regulatory environment in China, I would say, is streets ahead of us in terms of being, if you like, the user of the market, being able to trust the market.
Absolutely, and that is the sense I get from all the institutional people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. They say, now you've got the free trade zone, you've got the same regulations coming in. So if I want to offer my silver for sale, then I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a supply-demand price as opposed to a derivative influence price. And so I think that to me that it's done. They're toast. I mean, so any bank still using an asymmetrically imbalanced hedge, like in other words, we'll take this Comex short position and we'll hedge it. Let's hedge it in London. So that as far as the CFTC is concerned, it's hedged. So you're compliant. But hang on, that position is paper. It's a paper position. So you've got paper hedging paper. So to me, it amazes me that the compliance officers of these banks aren't pulling their hair out and saying, you need to back out of this stuff.
Well, the assumption basically is, I mean, certainly on Comex, that, you've got a regulated exchange and therefore positions there are regulated investments and all the rest of it. And when it comes to, LBMA, you've obviously, it's principal to principal, but these are regulated entities, banks, and, and even the hedge funds dealing in there are regulated sort of thing. So they're a bit asleep at the wheel, really. And while they wheel and deal in paper, as you rightly put it, they don't actually understand that the risk is now shifting from the paper, being redeemed, if you like, for physical that is not there, and leading to a potential crisis. But one thing that's interesting is that while we can see the silver position, and that's looking pretty dire, I think, as far as the establishment players are concerned in the West, it appears to be different with gold. I mean, if you look at the forecasts of various banks, I mean, not that any of their managed money has much invested in gold or silver, but I mean, they're talking gold up over 6,000, 7,000, whatever it is, by the end of this year or by the end of 27. So that tells me that they've got a net long paper book, I would hasten to add. So they're sort of, they're playing a game of trying to get, stay with it, and they're probably succeeding to a degree. Hence, their willingness to make, bullish price forecasts. Is that the sense you get, Andy?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I just see the system as broken here. And nobody I know, other than the physical stackers that we talk about, and over the years, Alasdair, you've been a real sort of card there. You've been one of the people that stood up and said, don't worry about the volatility. Buy physical gold and silver on a regular basis. Don't try and time the market. And those people that follow that advice, Alasdair, have done very, very well in protecting their wealth. Very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something which, of course, nobody really understands within the system. I mean, the dealers and so on and so forth. And I read, commentary from some very, very intelligent guys, in the LBMA and so on and so forth. And they just don't understand that it's not a bull market in gold. It's a bear market in the currency. And of course, that's a completely different thing. So if you understand that, then you understand that the price tomorrow, there's a bit of volatility in it. Well, the price in 3 months' time of gold, the value of gold, is broadly unchanged. What you're doing is not taking a bet on gold, you're taking a bet on the currency. That's the key thing to understand. And when people really understand that, the currency's completely had it. I mean, there is, going back to von Mises, Ludwig von Mises, who went through the Austrian hyperinflation following the First World War. And he was, one of the advisors, if you like, working from sort of just outside the government to help stop it happening. But he said that, when you get to the point that everybody understands that it's not prices rising, but the currency going down, they get the hell out of whatever currency they've got for anything which isn't currency. And that's called the crack up boom. That will eventually happen. But, we're at the stage, Andy, where nobody actually, or very few of us, actually understand that it's not gold going up, but the currency going down. In other words, it's not prices rising, but the currency going down. And over the next year or two, increasingly people will understand that. And as they understand that, the death knell of the currency is just sort of getting closer and closer and closer, until finally the great unwashed plebeians in the street realize actually the contract that has been perpetrated on them by their governments with respect to currency.
And that's why one of the reasons why you walk around with a sovereign, because when someone has that discussion with you, it really settles it very, very quickly. And can you just run through that? Because it's a really simple explanation, and you hold that sovereign up, and then what do you say to people?
Well, I got actually funny. It's quite funny because originally I was doing that with a 100-gram bar. I'd go abroad with it and all the rest of it, but customs kept on picking it up. So I thought, no, sod that. I'm not doing that again.
Yes.
And then I started doing it with a sovereign. But then I lost a sovereign. So I thought, well, bugger that. I'm not going to do that again.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
So I don't carry around a coin with me because I'm just too careless with these things.
But nevertheless, it is a good example, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Absolutely. It's a good illustration. No, I quite agree. And I've got a good friend in John Butler who I think carries a Krug around with him, makes the same point. But I mean, you can tell people. I mean, show them a £10 note instead. And what does it say on it? I promise to pay the bearer £10 on demand, signed by the chief cashier. Now, I know the writing on the notes are getting smaller and smaller, and soon you'll need to get a microscope to see this. But that promise is still there. It is a legal requirement. But what is that payment in £10? It is 10 sovereigns. And I mean, 10 sovereigns. A sovereign now is 900 quid, roughly, give or take.
Yeah.
So 10 is £9,000. So a tenner, if you like, under the gold standard, our old gold standard, pre-war, and also briefly between 1925 and 32, a tenner is represented today by £9,000.
Well, I'm off to Lloyd's Bank to have an argument with them tomorrow.
But it's not just us; it's every other currency. I mean, just look at the dollar. It's gone from 20.67 in 1933 to currently just over 5,000. I mean, as I look at it, it's 5,073, having a bit higher, and it's going to go quite a lot higher. It's going to go higher because the dollar's going down. It's not gold going up; it's the dollar going down. This is I think, the most important point. The earlier you understand that it's the currency going down and not gold going up, then you are going to be ahead of everybody else in your understanding of what's happening. You need no more than that. That's the important point.
Well, I think that's a great place to end on.